Hello, and welcome to Angels Fall First, Starfighter, Dropship, and their weapons overview. So, we did videos on infantry weapons, as you can see right here, and this is a space game, so this is one of the space maps where you'll be on a ship or flying in one of the Starfighters. And anyways, there isn't that much difference. Now this is Tir territory, it just has these animations of ships and that. So I choose this map because this is one of the maps that's more like the classic Battlefront 2 space maps, in which the capital ships are just static objects, though much better interiors in this game than back there. Again, it's a first-person shooter, so there isn't that much difference, variety within the weapons. There's 4 fighters, a scout, an interceptor, a heavy fighter, and a bomber, as well as dropships. So, when you look into see, and unlike most where you can just deploy into your infantry loadout, you do have to go to, well, the terminal, as you can see right there, and launch. Now, when you get destroyed, oftentimes it gets you back to your attack map. You have opportunity to launch as the current fighter you are in, or you can just go back to the hangar. So, when looking at which one's which, here's the key. So, if you've got a question on what the icons are, now this is for both, well, land and space. But right now this is space map, so we're going to be focusing on the fighters. There's, and we'll also do weapons later on. There isn't that much weapons. There's like, for the sides, there's, each side has 3 specific weapons, default machine gun, default energy weapon, and a heavy weapon. And then the other weapons are available to both sides. First up, we'll start with the AIA fighters. This is the Iret Interceptor. Iret Interceptor is their light fighter. Here's your stats. It only has 2 cockpits and a single body slot. It has countermeasures, a primary, and again, as I said, there isn't that much difference between the 2 factors as far as weapons go. Just the default machine gun, the faction energy weapon, and then heavy for bombers. All the different loadouts right here. You got the hardpoint. Now for the hardpoints, these are the same regardless of which faction. So, and you also see these on some of the capital ships too, on some of the options you have. So we'll go over that later. And mines. Now, once again, if you don't know, press the middle mouse button, turns on gravity assist, and that way you can just drift in a certain area. So you kind of go like the Battlestar Galactica mode. To return to Star Wars flight mode, just reset it again. Okay, max speed. Max speed while boosting. Turn this on, and even without boosting, you can still drift. Once you turn it on, you start slowing down, because now you got the Star Wars space version. So, fairly agile ship. Not much in the way of armament. And not much in the way of hit points, but it's a light ship. You can kind of go around things and get really deep. For the next AIA ship, we'll be piloting the Firefly fighter. This is the AIA Interceptor. There's your stats. 2 cockpits and an extra body compared from the scouts, drones. 2 weapons now instead of 1, 2 primaries or primary, secondary, hardpoint and mines. Handling's kind of the same. Speed boosting. Max speed with the boost. Now we go to the AIA's assault fighter, the Salamander assault fighter. There are your stats. Assault fighters are kind of like the heavies. 3 armor planes, but only 1 cockpit. Countermeasures, a primary, a secondary, even though it's pretty much the same as a primary. Your hardpoint and your mines. Why does everyone lost me? There's your max speed, not as much as the Interceptor. There's your boosting speed. Now we're on to the big boy, the Rakshasa bomber. Now, the Rakshasa bomber, the stats, pretty much like a heavy, cockpit, 3 body, primary and secondary, and a heavy bay. Bombers are the only ones with a heavy bay. You can load them with either the faction heavy weapon or torpedoes. Mines, and they don't have much maneuverability, so they're easily prey for fighters. Instead, they have a top-mounted turret cannon. This is the same for both sides. There's only 3 options. So, as you see, much slower than all other ships. This is the boost speed, not much boost duration. Takes a while to get there. But there is a turret. Moves really slow. Now the turret weapon you can command to target, say, enemy ships with the V key, same for vehicle key. So just like there, hold fire, doesn't fire, free fire,
weapons free.
And
take this objective.
Okay, now for last the AIA, the Cricket dropships. Now dropships, you usually use these to board enemy ships. You also see these, though the models at least, being used to drop off vehicle requests, as well as your landing pods when you capture an LZ. Now, when you board one, it gives like 9 seconds so other people can jump on to board, or you can just redeploy to it if it leaves without you. Now, with dropships, they're kind of like somewhere in between fighter. There is no customization, so what you have is what you have. Mines, missiles, and that's it. There isn't anything else other than that. Now, as I said, they're a mix between fighter and, well, capital ship because it has an interior. You go out. There's the hard point of the Machinegun. 2 chain guns, so you can. And back here, that's the pilot seat. Back here is the drop pod. This will detach, and when we board, we will board. As you see, they are very slow. Slower than bombers. So, with the weapons, you can kind of use them as like a gunship, but really you're there to board the other ship, and I'll show you exactly how that's done. If you've been flying near those points, you'll see a sign that says need a drop ship with pod to board. Show you really quick. Now, frigates have 2 spots, one on each side. Battleships have 4 boarding slots. Ducking and weaving, ducking and weaving. Okay, get to that right now. And we are boarding. Now, if you don't join in, the pod will detach. And as you see, just a little bit lighter. Still pretty slow. Really slow. Really slow. But now with my, you can still deploy on the Cricket as if it were a ship in space. So I'll show you. See, Cricket. There you go. And then, of course, now you can also deploy on the drop pod, the breach point, I said. But as you'll notice, this back door used to go in, it's not closed because I don't have drop pod. That's not into space now. But this rearm key, I can go right here. And after I head back, base. And I got a new drop pod ready to cause another breach. Okay, now we are starting with the ULA fighters. They're kind of a mirror to each other. There is subtle differences, I guess, in handling, but generally, AI fighters and ULA fighters kind of match. Models are different and stuff like that. So there tends to be more variety with the capital ships, but again, those is a little tricky to do since it's on offer. But fighters, once you've got a carrier or your hangar, that's pretty much always. We will start with the Rapier Interceptor. This is the ULA Scout, no bars, so the more bars, the heavier the fighter is. Here are the stats. 2 cockpit slots and standard plating, just like the AIA. It has primary. So as you see, the only faction different weapons for primary is the default machine gun and the faction energy weapon. But other than this, all this is available to both sides. And the hard point is basically universal. There's no faction specific ones. And mines. So as you see, they are very similar in their counterparts. Max speed for, this is without any other specs. Boost speed, not the gravity assist, so I can do middle mouse button to do things like this. I'm still going. Gravity assist back on, and now I'm back to Next up for the ULA ships is the Sword Fighter. This is their Interceptor. Now the Sword Fighter, here's the stats. Got 3 cockpit slots, just additional ammo. So it seems to be a little more like more of a utility type one, kind of like the medium armor. So 2 primaries. Hardpoint and mines. Maxed out the boost. Max with the boost. Now onto the Unity League Assault Fighter, the Katana Assault Fighter. As you might have noticed, all the ULA fighters are named after swords. More health and armor. Again, like the heavy, only 1 cockpit, 3 bodies. Countermeasures, primary, secondary, which they're the same. Hardpoint and mines. Max speed. And boosting speed. Next up, the ULA bomber, the Scimitar. Like all bombers, heavy on plating, only the cockpit. Primary, secondary, the heavy bay, mines, and turret. This turret is currently empty, but we can put on the C90 turret. As you see, it's the same as like the C90 cannon. Your max speed, very sluggish as all bombers are. Not as sluggish as like the capital ships, but still sluggish. Boosting speed. still pretty slow compared to all the other space fighters. But you have a turret to kind of, I guess, ward off those. Remember to kind of try to keep your top facing whoever's pursuing you. Okay, last for the Unity League, we got the Dragon Dropships. Now, the Dropships are kind of more like a capital ship than a Starfighter. I'll explain what as we go on board. But yeah, the Dragoon Dropship. Now, it gives about 10 seconds to get other people to get on board really quick and get in, so get ready to launch. And there's a drop pod. Now, of course, as I said, this is kind of it's a difference between fighter and capital ship because it has an interior, a working interior. You can go around. Here's a boarding pod where this will detach and become the boarding pod. Chain gun on the left side. Chain gun on the right side. And use the default chain. Mines, so you can still mine bomb, and missiles. So it is kind of like an effective gunship, even without the boarding pod, but really, you're really here for boarding. And I'll show you the fun boarding stuff really shortly if I get shot. Your boarding point, into there, X, is auto engage. And here we go, we are boarding. And we are now on the enemy ship to wreak havoc here. Kill the pilots, and we can even steal their pilots. Right after we blow up the core, before it blows up. Okay, on with the weapons. Right now we are starting with the AIA default weapon machine gun. When we start a loadout, this is what it always loads up the primary with. Your stats, auto and 5 shots, kind of like their minigun infantry model. As you can see, a lot of these ones you'll see, like the C90, sounds, if you watch the infantry gun video, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. So, this would be a thunderstorm in this space. That's your auto. Up a bit. Real time. There's a ring. And yes, turrets, even when they're unmanned, they do automatically track and fire enemy vehicles and infantry. So that's something you got to be concerned with. Okay, on to the default ULA machine gun. The TT-402 cannon. Here are the stats. Auto and 4-shot, much like the ULA squad of weapons. As well as capacity, but ammunition right now so far is kind of infinite, so we can just supply. 4-shot, and so very much kind of like similar to for your range, shot down here. There's your range. Now for the AIA faction energy weapon, the Tir-Boda 28 2000 EU. It's the plasma. It's basically the EVR in space. 6-6 combat, light and auto heavy. Cooldown. Here's the heavy. Kind of acts more like a bomber or an anti-ship roll in that case. Now, when it's going down, you can't reload, and so keep track of that. And again, for your range. A little note, Z is your countermeasures. It recharges your shields, it activates either your flares or drones to shoot down missiles, so remember that. Now on to the ULA energy weapon, the Corps-Miyaki LSP, laser spin plasma weapon. Compound. This is kind of like the ULA infantry plasma gun. It has light, auto, and charge. Charge to your trigger control. Most power is with the local power. Now, you can get just out of range, so range. You can, some weapons you can fire just out of range, but it's not as effective. So with damage fall off, and it's also accuracy. Plus, the ship's combined. Now that we are done with the faction-specific weapons, we'll go to the common weapons. This is the Sigurn-Fost Flechette weapon. Rail weapon, handmade, hardmine Flechettes, devastating close range, auto and 4-shot. Kind of like the ULA's machine gun, almost. Here's your auto. Now, no cooling, but a lot lighter. That's friendly shot. Coming on your range soon. As I'm getting shot up. There's the range. Next up for weapons is the S-77B. Out on 2 sides. Experimental heavy-duty flak cannon for close combat counters, especially effective for dropship removal. So when dropships attach their boarding pods, you can either destroy them from the inside, or you can go outside and try to shoot them. Of course, doing that, you might damage your own ship if friendly fire is on. So this is kind of like a space shotgun. Shot. And as you can see, the range is really, really close. Really close. Space shotgun. So, onto the Mark V Ion Cannon. So, ion cannons on ships. They are the big guns of the ships. They tear through both shields and armor pretty easily. These ones are just quick beam weapons, a lot smaller. Kind of come in different colors for depending on the faction. But that's pretty much kind of the same. No alternative firing mode. There you go. That's it. That's all there is. There's your range. Now the common pull weapon, the Aeger TT1 8S, auto and 3-shot. So this is available both factions. Don't have to worry too much about overheating. There's a 3-shot. Probably using the auto swap. And there's your range. Now the last of the loadouts, a C90 cannon. You might notice the name C90 is kind of the same as the infantry Flak or autocannon. 90mm cannon, slow but highly kinetic, explosive rounds, excellent for pounding hull, but easily deflected by shielding. It's also one of the few that's available as a turret option for bombers. It's very slow firing. And just has the auto. stats, and you can see by the stats they have the exact same thing. There's your range,
Attack this objective.
and you can even have your turret count, the turret count. So whenever you take damage, you can just go by to your carrier or wall point, see this little bullet, and hit Rearm Repair. Spacebar to cancel. Now when you're ready, you can kind of press any key to, or spacebar to get out, and fully loaded. And launch right out. Or you can just press X and you'll be boarded back into the fighter bay. Okay, really quick, just want to go over a little note. Now, right now, the primaries and, of course, the primary secondaries are kind of the same. So you can double up the same weapon, but it doesn't really do anything other than having, well, two weapons at the same time. There isn't like any link fire or auto stuff. I guess you can have one on heavy and one light, but no difference. But that's pretty much all you can do, so there's no real point in doing that. Now onto hardpoints. As I said, hardpoints, it's all the same for both factions. There's nothing, no faction-specific weapons. And this is available for if you've got a hardpoint slot in any ship or fighter, and including the bigger ships. These are your options. So the Ackerson Red 4, 27 combat, auto, and supposedly 4-shot, but I think that's something's up with that, so I'll show you later. Anyways, hardpoints. This is the unguided one, so this is the only unguided hardpoint. Everything else has a guidance system, so you need to lock on first before you shoot. Let's see our 4-shots. That seems kind of more than 4 shots. So see, the fire mode's a little bit bugged, but again, this is the dumb unguided one. Works against large ships and stuff, but no track capability. The next hardpoint is the homing AF1 missile. And of course, as I said, all the hardpoints are the same factions, and now this is the first lock-on one, so you need a lock before you can fire. You can't just dumbfire this. The missile sacrifice payload for good tracking ability. 40 combat, show you what it is. Okay, maximum targets lock on 1. Shoots 2 missiles per lock. On 2 missiles, the M8LM Swarm Missiles. Lock on. Short missiles fires up to 8 separate multi-lock targets, so you can kind of throw out that micro missile barrage. Now, each missile doesn't do much damage, so really is just getting a lot of missiles out there at once, locking onto a lot of targets, kind of like a standoff weapon or something like that. There you go. There's 8 different targets. Now the other hard point, we got the homing AFX missile. Advanced seeking ordnance, longer range, better seeking, more destructive power, 6 combat. This is one of the more expensive ones. There's your stats. I see this map's still a little fuzzy. Maximum of 2 lockouts, 2 missiles each. Now for the final hard point, we got the homing HAL for AS missile. Here's your stats: lock on, max damage, a larger, slower missile with a more powerful warhead for bigger targets. Now this is kind of like, I guess it's supposed to be an anti-ship missile, like an SS. 18 support and 6 combat, so this is the first one that actually cost support. So. Now a note on ships, a lot of ships have point defenses right there. So, and it will automatically shoot down missiles. So with this one, there's your lock on. Just one missile. But with only one missile, it's easily intercepted by point defense. So something to keep in mind when using this weapon. Now for the AIA weapon, the Tir-Boda heavy plasma cannon. This is kind of similar to the plasma cannon on their corvettes. So. That's it. Know the fire mode. And there's your range. The ULA Heavy is their railgun. As you know, ULA likes to use railgun technology. So there is railguns they put on everything. They put on their mechs, their LAVs, they give it to the infantry, they're on the ships, and the bombers. There's your railgun. Has more than your capacity, but as you see, when you're unlike your other weapons, which can reload, when it comes to bombers, you have to go back to your ship to reload them. So same thing with the heavies. And there's your range. Last, for the heavy weapons, we have the torpedo, which is available to both sides. As you can see, here's your stat. Again, heavy weapons, they aren't infinite. You have to go back to your ship to reload them. of range, either whether miss or they'll detonate. So detonate. Command range real quick. There's your range. Now, as I mentioned before, all ships have mines. Mines are kind of like the grenades, the effects that you have in infantry, and you can double or mix up charges. Doubling gives a bit more longer blast radius. And it's either just quick to drop them, or, and you can see there's a few mines, and that's pretty much, that is kind of like the target radius. Anything in there, it'll lock on with the laser and go to it until it touches and then blows up. You can charge it up to kind of push mines out a little bit further. Mine bombing, and since all ships, all fighters have a mine slot, mine bombing ships is pretty common. There's my turret going off. That part is bad. Now the turret, you can use it to kind of, since bombers aren't as agile, they have the turret weapon. The turret, you can use it to complement your anti-ship capability, adding to that. Or you can load it with more of a anti-fighter weapon, like a Flechette cannon, to kind of just ward off anyone that's trying to get on your ship and blow you up. Well, I hope you found this video on Starfighters, Dropships, and the Starfighter Weapons informative. If, as you see, it's mostly still a first-person shooter, and that's fine because it helps capture the scale. You know, there's space games with a lot more fighter options and a lot more ship options, but then again, you can't go into the interior of the ship like this and blow it from the inside, see what's like on the outside, and or steal their stuff because it's fun. And yes, they recognize, even though this is their ship, I'm an enemy pilot. So something to look out for. Anyway, I look forward to seeing you on AISN Starfighters, and soon the devs finish polishing up and making a tutorial, so we won't have to rely on these videos. I look forward to seeing you when this game finally comes out for release. Or if you can't wait like I can't, it's on the last, this is on Steam. Enjoy.